Midnight, December 1919. A blizzard is raging off the shores of Newfoundland, and it has the SS Effie in its grips. All through the night and into the morning, the ship is battered by howling winds and mountainous waves. Snow lashes the crew as they fight to keep the Effie afloat. This is where they lost that battle. The ship ran aground here in what's now Grossmoor National Park. You can still find the wreckage on the beach a century later. But no one died in the wreck of the SS Effie, and according to legend, that was thanks to one very special dog, a Newfoundland dog. We don't know how much of the tale is true, but according to the stories they've been telling for 100 years, a big Newfoundland swam bravely out to the sinking ship and brought a rope back to shore. The crew was able to send all the passengers to safety along that lifeline, starting with a baby they placed carefully into a mailbag. 92 lives saved by the canine's heroics. The dog was given a touching gift, a brand new silver collar emblazoned with one big, bold word: hero. This is the story of the heroic breed of dog that helped build our country. This is Canadiana. By the time the Effie was wrecked, this breed had been living on the island of Newfoundland for centuries. They've been here so long, no one's entirely sure where they came from, how they were first bred or evolved. Some say their ancestors were the wild wolves of Newfoundland, or might even have included the domesticated hunting dogs of local First Nations. Others like to say they're descended from big black bear dogs the Vikings brought with them across the Atlantic 1,000 years ago, when they built a settlement here at Lanceau Meadows on the tip of Newfoundland. But most seem to think they were probably bred by the first European fishermen and whalers to come to Canada. Sailors from places like the Basque Country, who spent their summers fishing the waters off the shores of Newfoundland, beginning in the early 1500s, establishing seasonal ports, like one here at Red Bay in Labrador. These dogs were perfect for life on the frontier. They're big and strong and brave, smart and loyal. They have webbed feet and a thick waterproof coat, so they're fantastic swimmers. Like their cousins, the St. Bernards, they're famous for rescuing people. And when European explorers and settlers first ventured beyond the East Coast, heading deep into the continent, the dogs were there at their side. A Newfoundland named Jack Sharp was here on the Niagara frontier with Lieutenant Governor John Graves Simcoe as he set sail across Lake Ontario to found the city of Toronto. Another hauled sleds through the wintry wilds of Manitoba with the famous fur trader David Thompson, dodging polar bears on the shores of Hudson Bay. And a third crossed the Rockies with Alexander Mackenzie, warning the party when wolves drew near, as the Scottish explorer became the first European ever to cross North America. Newfoundlands had traveled all the way from their East Coast home to the far side of the continent, and in the decades to come, these hardy dogs would become a familiar sight for Canadian settlers, a breed that helped build this country, embedded in the national imagination. And just a couple of decades after the shipwreck of the Effie, another Newfoundland dog would make an even more dramatic rescue. His name was Gander. He was the mascot of the Royal Rifles of Canada, named after the Newfoundland town where the unit was stationed. And when the soldiers headed off to war, they brought their canine companion with them. He even got a promotion. He was now Sergeant Gander. The Royal Rifles had been sent to Hong Kong, and the day after Pearl Harbor, the Japanese invaded the British colony. It was the first time Canadian forces had fought a land battle in the entire war, and they were outnumbered 4-1. But they had Sergeant Gander on their side. He helped fight off 3 assaults, one after the other. as the instincts bred into him through his ancestors kicked in. And when a grenade was tossed at a group of Canadian soldiers, he leapt to their defense. Sergeant Gander raced out, picked up the grenade, and carried it away from his comrades, off toward the enemy. His final act of bravery. He gave his life to save 7 men. Sergeant Gander was awarded his own medal for gallantry. And here at the Hong Kong Veterans Memorial Wall in Ottawa, you'll find his name included among all the other Canadians who died in that bloody battle. Today, Sergeant Gander still keeps watch over his hometown. This statue was erected in the heart of Gander just a few years ago. And the day it was unveiled, they used the same word to describe him they've used for so many Newfoundlands over the years. They called this dog a hero. The Newfoundland dog isn't the only dog from around these parts. This is a Labrador Retriever, and it has its own fascinating history that I'll tell you about in just a second. But first, thank you for watching. You can like, comment, and subscribe. Hit up our Patreon below to help us tell more stories like this one. You can follow us on social at This Is Canadiana. Now, on with our story.
Labradors and Newfoundlands are thought to share a common ancestor, the St. John's Water Dog. That breed emerged centuries ago, a helpful companion for the sailors of Newfoundland, named after the island's capital. And while the big St. John's Water Dogs with shaggy coats became the ancestors of the Newfoundland breed, some sailors preferred the smaller dogs with shorter coats that didn't get so full of ice in the winter. Some of those sailors are said to have been so proud of their dogs that when they arrived at a seaside town in England, they showed them off to a crowd of admirers, had them dive bravely into the waves to retrieve things from the water. An English earl was there to see it, and he was so impressed he got some St. John's Water Dogs to help him hunting. They were perfect for retrieving dead ducks. He established a whole breeding program, as did a couple of other British noblemen. In time, those dogs would form their own distinct breed, the Labrador Retriever. Sadly, by then, their brave ancestors were in trouble. In the 1800s, authorities in Newfoundland introduced heavy taxes on any dogs that weren't used for herding sheep, so the number of St. John's Water Dogs dwindled. Eventually, they disappeared. One last pair was found living in a remote corner of the island in the 1970s, but they were both male, so with them, the breed died out. But today, while the St. John's Water Dog is no more, the Labrador Retriever is the most popular dog breed in the world.